Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 80 of PFN Live, Planet Film Live. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell, and we're going to talk. By the title, we're going to talk Doctor Strange ticketing issues. We're going to talk Morbius box office, Ezra Miller.
He's back at it again.
Moon Knight, obviously, a Moon Knight episode 2 review, and I think that might be it. I don't think there's anything else. No other really huge news, I think.
Not a lot.
Yeah. Nothing that, like, hits me off the top of the head that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, first of all, anything new in your life, in your world, currently?
Not really. Just kind of, chugging along, trying to... Yeah, I haven't watched anything since Morbius either. I haven't watched much. I've been playing a lot of Fallen Order.
I know what I wanted to say to you. So you're telling me you never watch Criminal Minds?
No.
What? That show is so good.
What's it about?
It's about
Criminal Minds?
Well, this department in the FBI called the BAU, Behavioral Analysis Unit.
Right.
They analyze basically like serial killers or whoever, like each episode. So like every new episode, there's like a criminal who's killing people, and they get called in and they have to figure it out, and they analyze them and they figure out what their habits are and all that stuff. They put together a profile that helps the police and everybody catch the killer.
Do they always catch them?
Yeah. Yes, they do always catch them. Yes, indeed. There's some really good episodes in there, and it occurred to me that you had never watched it because when Danielle said to me, and I then said to you, AJ Cook for Sue Storm, you said, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
Which I think you should watch a few episodes. It's a very good show. It's on all episodes are on Paramount Plus, all seasons.
Well, let's see what the good people had to say about your TikTok.
I think a lot of people were. Everybody, and I agree with Danielle because Danielle said this. Everybody's obsessed with Emily Blunt in the role, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I hate to tell you.
Yeah. Emily Blunt.
Now when I watch Criminal Minds and I see AJ Cook, I see Sue Storm.
I mean, but
and I know she's not an A-list actor. She's a B-list. Don't get me wrong.
But that's what I mean. Like, I mean, she's a B-list actress, but also like, does it have to do with anything more than the fact that she just looks like her?
No, but I think she could do it. I think she could pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you.
Hey, I mean, is the girl from Miss Marvel, is she anybody?
No.
Exactly.
That's true.
I think the MCU does a very good job of, like Kevin Feige likes to pick indie film directors to direct these big Marvel movies. I think he would also like where he picks like, oh, who's this actor that has done some things but not really really big. This could make them explode. You know what I mean? So that's my official nomination for AJ Cook and Sue Storm.
There you go.
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I think I think people maybe need to get used to the fact that maybe Emily Blunt will not be in that role.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I think that like if it is gonna be like Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, then I think at this point they're just gonna like show up. You know what I mean? Like I feel like at this point it wouldn't be like we're gonna wait for CinemaCon and then at CinemaCon, Kevin Feige's gonna be like, and meet our first family, the Richards, and then dun, 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 like I don't see something like that happening at this point, only because it's been such a long time. I mean, he made his big proclamation of like, we haven't even gotten to things like the mutants and the Fantastic Four. I mean, that was so long ago, and then the Investors Day was like over a year ago at this point. So I feel like if it was going to be like a big, huge announcement like that, it would either be very, very soon to now, or they've already been cast and they're just keeping it a secret and they're just going to show up in some
really good secret
sooner rather than later. But I mean, how many times have they done that before?
Right.
I mean, there's been so many that people don't know of.
Where's the Thor trailer, by the way?
That's what I'm
you
saying.
said
We
you
can
had
talk about that.
your thumbnail ready for the Doctor Strange maybe new trailer. Where's the Thor trailer?
I don't know. Well, we did see, like, Chris Hemsworth did announce that the press started for Thor: Love and Thunder the other day, and there seems to be a theory online that it's Taika, Chris Hemsworth, and Tessa Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all doing, like, different versions of this or whatever, and people think that they're spelling out the date that the trailer is going to come out. Because if you put it together, it says 4/11/22 with their hands. And so people are like...
Maybe? Yeah.
Could be. I mean, maybe.
I would say
like,
subscribe to that theory.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe. It could also just be... Not at all. I mean, I remember it. That kind of thing, like, makes me think back to when the Russo brothers shared that image of, like, Joe Russo sitting in a chair, and they were like, the name of the next Avengers movie, Endgame, like, is in this picture. And then somebody actually figured it out because it was like, okay, a ladder is A, and then this is the G, and like they literally spelled out Endgame with, like, the different furniture and, like, lights that were in there.
Jeez.
So I'm just saying there is definitely precedent in this universe for something like that, I guess. That's the only one that I can think of, but I mean, there is, I guess, precedent for it. And really, I mean, it doesn't really matter anyways. But the main thing is the conversation before Chris Hemsworth posted that was, oh God, where's the Thor trailer? They must be delaying it. Now it's, oh, they're not delaying it. They're just really cutting it very close. I think a trailer launching with Doctor Strange is way too late. Like, way too late. So, I think probably the best bet is either something like April 11th, just a totally random, Monday or Tuesday or whatever, or CinemaCon. But once we get closer to CinemaCon, it's like, well, now we're only talking about, like, a week before Doctor Strange. So, it's like, what's the difference? So if I had to put, like, money on it right now, I would say they just did this big Doctor Strange push with the tickets going on sale. I think next couple of days, within the week. I think we're officially, that's, if I had to put money on it, I would say we're officially within the week of the trailer coming out. Because I think really they wanted to get because they don't want their hype to consume each other, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And I feel like they really wanted to get the Doctor Strange tickets over with, get that hype originally, like, out of the way, and then, coldly, but, once they have everyone's money, be like, and here comes the next one, you know what I mean? Whereas, if you put out the Thor trailer, a very small portion, but 2, 3, 4% of people might go, you know what? I like Doctor Strange, but I really like that last Thor movie. I'll just save my money and go to that one.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like they really want to, like, close it down and segment off the specific marketing stages. And I think we've seen that with a lot of their movies. Like, yes, a trailer for Far From Home had to come out before Endgame because that was only a month apart. But tickets didn't go on sale until after Endgame came out. Like, a lot of that stuff. I feel like they know what they're doing. Like in Feige we trust, basically. And we've rarely been let down. And I feel like there's no need to start doubting now, basically. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think we're gonna get?
No, I agree. I think you don't want to put it out now because I don't think maybe you don't want to put it out in, like, May because of the competition with Doctor Strange. When is the movie supposed to come out? June, is it?
No, it's July 8th.
July 8th.
So it's almost exactly 2 months for Doctor Strange.
Yeah, like, I think you want to have, like, one thing hyped up at a time. So maybe you put
Moon Knight airing
right
at the same time.
Right. So I think maybe it's probably, like, it has to be in the next week or two, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would have
yeah,
to
like
assume
I
that?
would say confidently it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like so right now the previous record for shortest marketing window was for the Incredible Hulk, which was I think it was 99 days or something, or 100 or 101 days or something like that. I don't think though, and so right now I want to say right now we're at 95, maybe 94 days. I don't think they're going to push it past 90 days. Like, I don't think that they would release a trailer 80 days out from the release of the movie. Like, that's like bonkers territory of short time. So if I had to guess, yeah, I would say, within the next 7 days, if not even sooner. I mean, what's today?
April 6th.
But it's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, yeah.
I would think maybe Monday or Tuesday, honestly. But I mean, they just have to wait and see what's going to happen. But when we do get the trailer, make sure that you are subscribed to the Planet Film Network on YouTube. And we will definitely be doing a big trailer reaction to that. So you want to talk a little... well, let's talk about the Ezra Miller stuff and just get it out of the way first. So, luckily... Well, I say luckily, but... thankfully, this Ezra Miller news is not the result of even more direct actions from them. But it is a big article that came out from Rolling Stone magazine. Did you have a chance to look at this?
I have not, no.
Oh, yeah. So this is a big article coming out from Rolling Stone, which basically somebody talked deep inside Warner Brothers. Whether they will still be deep inside Warner Brothers next week, who knows? But right now, at least, basically we found out that Ezra Miller's arrest prompted a impromptu emergency meeting of the board and the governors of Warner Brothers to discuss what the hell basically they were going to do about it, and essentially nothing has been decided yet because they're most likely not going to decide anything because next week Discovery officially takes over everything. So I don't think that they're going to make a decision this week because if they make a decision, it could be overturned when Discovery takes over. If they don't make a decision, they might want to just leave Discovery to make the decision type of thing. Either way, right now, I agree with them with this, that right now they probably shouldn't make the decision. They probably should wait for the new leadership to do it.
Yeah. Just
because if they, God forbid, if they definitively say, no, we're just going to keep everything the way that it is, then when Discovery comes over, and they're
like, psych?
Yeah, get him out of here or whatever, then it's, you're already starting off on the bad foot. But if you just wait and say, no, let's just let the new heads in charge make the decision and stuff, I think that lends itself to the situation a lot better. And I think that it'll be a more like clear, direct message that we are the new leadership in town. We are running things at Warner Brothers now, and we are definitively saying, we will no longer do business with Ezra Miller, which the article states essentially no final decision has been made, but essentially that is at least what they are saying, is that after Fantastic Beasts comes out, after The Flash comes out, that they will no longer be a part of any Warner Brothers production, which I think is a big step forward because I think that's the easier decision to make and be like, well, before we do anything else, we are not going to work with Ezra Miller going forward.
Right.
And then the deeper question, which we talked about last week, is what do you do with the Flash movie? What do you do with it? It's just sitting there. It's a $300 million, brick on a shelf right now because they haven't officially announced it, but last time we got an update on the release date, it was pushed from the end of this year all the way into summer of 2023. Now the article also states that it's reportedly taken off the release schedule. Which that I don't blame them for, because you got to figure out what you're gonna do, and it might be they might say we just gotta take our lumps. That's the one thing, is that his practices and the things that he's got in trouble in like Hawaii and outside of things, that is not on Warner Brothers. There is stuff that is on them that we'll talk about in a second, but like that is not their fault, so like they need to. Now you could make the argument, well, when the original video came out a few years ago, if they had said
yeah, they probably should
if they had said well, we're not going to work with you, or you have to get your shit in order, or you have to get your shit in line in order to keep working on, because that video came out weeks before Fantastic Beasts started rolling, and then Fantastic Beasts started rolling, and then the COVID full lockdown happened, and then everything got delayed, but they got to think of something, and if the answer is just, well, listen, we just got to release it, just bury it in, I hope they make the decision soon, though, because I will say, if the decision is, well, just release it, just bury it somewhere, you got to release it in January. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't be like, well, just throw it out there and then throw it out in June, because then it's going to make
you gotta make money.
Like, even if they pull all the rug out from under it marketing wise, which is already going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars, because you can't put, if the movie stays as it is, first of all, number one, you can't have a press tour without your main star, and your main star can't do a press tour. That's period, end of statement, because Ezra Miller cannot go in front of a reporter, let alone a press junket, because every single question out of every single reporter's mouth is going to be about that, not about the movie. So Ezra will not be there, no matter what happens. I could confidently guess that. And then if you can't have the Flash at the Flash press junket, and, Michael Keaton, it's public information that he's in it, but they probably won't put Michael Keaton at the press junket, because everybody's going to say what they always ask everybody, are you the werewolf? Like with Andrew Garfield, well, what's your role? What can you tell us? And it's just going to be Michael Keaton going, you just have to wait and see, for like a month. And it's like that part of it can't happen. So I think they need to make this decision sooner rather than later. And if they're going to put it out, just say, oh, we move the Flash up to January 15th, 2023. And then just dump it. You know what I mean? Just get rid of it.
I think they have to make a decision whether to keep going forward with him, which I don't think they will. But I think you have to say that very quickly. Yeah. And then cut your losses that way. But you still have to obviously put out the movie. You still have to make money on it. I don't think you bury it. I think you just I think you allow for time between where you cut ties and you release the movie, and that way it's not as it's not as in the cultural zeitgeist as it might be. But like I said, real quick.
No, you're
like I said last week, normal people don't know this is a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how
they will once Warner Brothers makes a statement.
Right.
That's the thing. Once they officially announce it, that everybody will know. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just I don't know, because some things is this something that would end up on, the person watching Good Morning America in the morning or something like that? You know what I mean? Is it something that the general just public will just be like, oh yeah, that guy that plays the Flash that we're going to see the movie now, they stopped working with him because of all this stuff he did.
I think the main difference is right now, like we talked about last week, the original incident in 2020, got almost no mainstream coverage, etc. This we're getting these huge articles from Variety, THR, Rolling Stone. That is not getting to the people watching Good Morning America or the Today Show. But what will is Warner Brothers saying, we have decided to cut all ties with Ezra Miller, because something like the Today Show, they do not get, I don't know, is Robin Roberts still on there? I don't know. They don't.
She
okay, they don't get Robin Roberts to be like, oh, some interesting news. Ezra Miller found themselves in some hot water in Hawaii recently, But what they will say is, for you comic book movie fans out there, Ezra Miller no longer the Flash at DC. We'll have that and more coming up after the break. You know what I mean? Like that, when it is a finished story, like when the chapter has been closed on it, then yes, because then you can condense it down to, there's not all these variables, there's not all this whatever. It is Discovery Warner, or Warner Discovery cuts ties with Flash actor. That'll be the one sentence thing. But what I was gonna say was about they have to make money on it. Technically they don't, because now Discovery didn't pay to make the Flash. You know what I'm saying? They paid for all of Warner Brothers as is.
Right.
And Warner Brothers paid for the Flash. And yes, they did incur their debt, but they incurred $43 billion worth of debt all at once. So they're not going to be looking at it like, oh, well, how much did that movie cost? How much did that movie? You know what I mean? So they could come in, what's his name? David Zaslav, right? The Discovery guy. He could come in and say, like, you want $100 million to reshoot what? No, put it, just bin it. You know what I mean? Like, he could totally do that, because at that point, it's his money, not his money. It's Discovery and the shareholders' money, but he is the steward of where the money goes. So as crazy as it sounds, I could totally see them doing that, because it's like, well, what happens if you put it out? You have to put another $50 million minimum into the marketing, and then the movie probably already has accrued like $300 million price tag.
Yeah, to me, it's just thinking like, then you don't have the revenue generated to offset that cost, which on statements I feel like would look like, if I'm looking at a new Discovery financial statement for whatever month, I'm like, what the fuck is this random debt we have sitting in our books for this this amount of money? Granted, like you said, they're already your Discovery's already taking on like all this money for just buying them.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I think it might be I think some of it is like, we can't just have this whatever $1 million debt just sitting here. Like, we need to offset it with something. And I think you could. Like, I think you could, if you put it out, I think you're making the money back. Like, I don't think they would. I think it's a big enough movie where it's going to make the money back. It's not going to be like $1 billion movie, I don't think, maybe. But could it be like a $700 million or like a 600? I think so.
My question is, though, shout out to the 5 people watching us right now. Shout out in the chat. What do you guys think should happen with the Flash movie? It's a complicated issue, so if you have an idea or not, just say, I don't know, I got no idea. But what do you guys think should happen with it? But my question is, yes, financially, sure, but studios do have a long history of just straight up shelving films. And do you want this movie to make $600 million with Ezra Miller's 3 faces all over it?
Okay, because he's playing the 3 different Flashes.
Yeah, like, right, well, that's what I mean. Like, I get that you want to make your money back, but in terms of a movie like this, the movie itself is an advertising piece for the following movies. You know what I mean? Like, so
I think it becomes like a big PR thing too.
At this point,
where it's
like,
I mean. Do we want like, will people be like, "Oh, you put this, like this guy did terrible things. You put this movie out, but they're making their money."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, yeah, like I think it might just be like, I would still put it out, but I would just distance the announcement of not working with him. Yeah, assuming that's what they would do. I would distance the announcement of not working with him, where I would make that announcement, but I'd be like, now, or like in the the next 2 weeks or so, and then the movie doesn't come out till next year, late next year.
Now, I think what genuinely could happen, and this is a Hail Mary pass, but I think what genuinely could happen is we already don't definitively know, but we already know that Grant Gustin is going to be in this film. There's a lot of stuff going around right now on Twitter with like Humberto Gonzalez tweeting about, that is part of the conversation is because the show is ending. I mean, it is going to end very soon.
That'd be a big break for that actor too, right?
Oh yeah, I mean he's a million. I mean he's making so much bank on the CW.
On the CW,
but no, absolutely. And I feel so bad because he is so much the Andrew Garfield of that. That like he loves that character so much, and you can just tell that he is like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of and it kind of sucks because it's like he I think his contract was up at like the end of season 6. And he really was thinking about not coming back, and they were going to pivot the show to be about his kids now, like time travel to the present and just have them going forward type of thing. But he was like, no, I'll stick it out. And I think he signed on for like 3 more seasons. So people are thinking the upcoming 8th season is going to be, we're in season 8 now. The upcoming 9th season is just going to be the end of it for him. But I think if they said, well, how about a movie and $40 million, maybe not 40 million, but how about a movie and $15 million, to take over for Ezra, I think that'd
be cool.
Because I think, honestly, and this is totally biased too, because I love Grant Gustin as the Flash and everything, but we've seen him cross over with Ezra Miller's Flash before. We've seen him. We watched the aspect ratio and the color grade change. He went into the Snyderverse for like 2 minutes of his show, even though technically it was an episode of Arrow, which doesn't make any fucking sense. But it was just the way the Crisis was structured. So Ezra has come in to the show, and by all accounts, Grant is going to be in the movie in some capacity. So I mean, I think you could do it. Just say, just end the movie with, and I'm only saying this because you have a year of runway. If the movie was coming out in 3 months, you can't change the ending. You can't reshoot stuff to make, even if it's not Grant Gustin, if it's just another actor, whatever it might be. It's way too late to do any of that right now if the movie was coming out. But this movie comes out in June of next year. That is, what are we in, April? So that's 14 months away. You can rewrite the entire ending. You can have it be, Ezra got, his Flash got shot in the head. And then, Grant Gustin pops out of a portal. And there you go. And it's like, or Grant Gustin or whoever they just recast as Barry Allen. Whatever it might be, because I think the best way forward for all of this is definitively Ezra Miller is out from Warner. Like, this is a Warner Brothers statement. Ezra Miller is out of anything Discovery Warner related, period. Going forward, we will not have any involvement with them, but we are going to release The Flash, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get to, you know what I mean? We'll figure out a way to get past it when we need to for whatever the Flash's next appearance is.
Yeah. The Breakfast Bitch said, I think they put it out, no junket, and the bigger question will be, what if it's a huge hit with Ezra Miller? And then she said, do you switch actors and hope we don't notice and they pray it makes money? No, because again, I just think that like this is too much money. Yeah. Like that's too much. Like at that point, you might as well just bid it. Because there's no way that it's gonna, at that point, it's like, I need this to make $1 billion to recoup the costs.
Exactly.
And it's like, what? There's no point.
That's why I say I think something like that is far more likely of a just simply, and when I say the ending, I don't mean like, the last 5 minutes. I mean like redo the third act. Like that's way cheaper than redoing the whole movie. You know what I mean? Use what you have of Ezra, edit it together. I mean, we've seen, it's totally different circumstances, but we've seen what you can do with existing footage with Episode 9 and Leia.
Not that it worked out the best.
No, not that it worked out the best, but it did the job that it needed to. And just like Was that the best part of The Rise of Skywalker? Absolutely not. I don't think that was executed
couldn't
perfectly.
give you an argument there was the best part of Rise of Skywalker.
That is true. There are more of us, right, Poe?
Yeah.
Lando, you know. What a film!
Somehow he came back. Don't know how.
Somehow, man, got all the way to Coruscant and back to the unknown regions in like 4 hours.
Completely off topic, but I saw like a TikTok that was like in Battlefront 2 with the cutscene when he's like the kind of robot is like the messenger, it like has his face on it. Mm-hmm. That would have been way better. You could have just done that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you're right. That would have been better.
Or like saying like what they did with Maz Kanata in Last Jedi, where she just shows up on like they like Skype her basically,
right? Yeah.
And she's like in the middle of a mission or whatever.
Anyway,
I digress. But I mean, I think that's something that you could do is use what you have of Ezra Miller, write around it, make it make sense somehow, or honestly, hey, guess what? You still have Ezra Miller under contract. You could say, listen, we're bringing you in to film because you caused this mess. Unfortunately, this would be difficult to do because you have to pay Ezra Miller if you're going to do this. But if they say you need to come in, we are going to film this to save this movie that you ruined, that type of thing. You might have to do something like that. Like another example, we don't know what is the transition from Johnny Depp to Mads Mikkelsen. We know that Johnny Depp shot 3 days on Secrets of Dumbledore because very famously he worked on it for 3 days, got fired, but he got the whole paycheck. But so we know that Johnny Depp like shot for 3 days. Maybe they said, hey, this is because technically you got to remember too, Johnny Depp resigned officially on paper. On paper, he was asked to leave, but on paper he resigned the position. So it very well could have been something that Johnny Depp probably did film something for Secrets of Dumbledore and either a spell or something, or I don't know. But I think you could do the same thing with The Flash. Just, you have to be strategic about it because it's really just the most unfortunate situation that so much of the future of the DC movies is riding on this film and on Ezra Miller as The Flash. I don't know.
Fun.
I have to figure out something, but yeah. Luckily, we don't have to make that decision.
Nope.
But I hope that somebody over there does. Let us know. What do you guys think that Warner Brothers should do about Ezra Miller as a person? And then what do you think that they're going to do about the Flash film? Do you think that they are going to reshoot it? Just have to, take what they got and release it as it is? Just kind of wait for it to blow over? Or do you think they shelve it, wait for some time to go by, release it quietly or something? I don't know. Let us know what you guys think. But let us pivot to one of the best comic book films that we know of, because it has already been released in theaters after 6 delays, I believe, and that is Morbius. That is Dr. Michael Morbius.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk some box office figures for Morbius. Now, should
I have an estimate, a guess?
Oh, do you not know?
I don't know the exact numbers.
Well, let's first, if you want to, you can check out our review. It's on the channel right now. But what were just some of your brief thoughts on Morbius?
I thought it was not as offensive as everybody claimed it to be. Not everybody. There's people that said like, "Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever." I disagree with that. I thought it was bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't like I'm offended. I thought Matt Smith, did his best. I thought Jared Leto did his best. I thought everybody in that movie is, trying to make up for a very poor script. Some of the fighting was cool and some of it was kind of odd. The story was kind of, some of the rules didn't really make much sense. Like, for example, at the end, spoiler, just kind of her turning into, I forget her name. His love interest.
Martine
turning into a vampire kind of was like, okay, so he can do that, or like, because then if he can do that, then it means all the other people should have turned into a vampire that he bit. But I don't know, something. But yeah, I thought it wasn't great. It wasn't bad, or it was bad. I mean, post credit scenes were very bad, but it was not offensively bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that that's a great way to sum it up. Is it was bad, it was very not good, but it wasn't very bad. Mm-hmm. I think there was definitely some watchable, salvageable parts of it. I think that Matt Smith was, giving it everything he could with what he was presented to portray, and for somebody who, I've said many times, I do not care for Jared Leto. I thought that Jared Leto definitely was giving it everything that he could to make a successful movie. Yeah, and I it's that thing where I'm just like, Jared Leto's still, because it still hasn't released everywhere internationally, so he's like still out there like doing press and stuff, and you can just see on his face that he is like dead inside. And I'm like, I mean, he has done a lot of, he's another one that is somewhat, problematic in his personal life and has had a bunch of stuff, whatever. But I do kind of like feel bad for the guy, because I'm like, he was going to do the Joker, and then for whatever you want to say, if you don't like his thing or whatever, either way, his full performance was never shown, so he got that taken away from him. And then this, he was like really giving it his all. And one of the things I said in the review was this was not one of the like, Jared, he was so method, he was sleeping upside, hanging upside down by his legs in between takes or whatever. Like, I felt like Michael Morbius was like a real person. Mm-hmm. But that being said, those two things aside, I think the movie was absolutely terrible. But right now,
I do believe it also had a C+ cinema score, which is not good.
Yes, it had a C+ cinema score,
which does not bode well for any movie.
But its Rotten Tomatoes actually is surprisingly, audience score I'm saying, is actually surprisingly high. So right now, with 205 critic reviews, the critic score, the tomato meter, is at 16%. Mm-hmm. Not very good. But that being said, the average review is actually at like a 4 or a 5 out of 10. So what that means is most critics pretty much just found it like middle of the road. Like, that doesn't mean that 205 reviews gave it a 1 out of 10. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, it just means that the majority of critics thought that it was bad.
Yeah.
But the audience, however, with 2,500 verified audience ratings, that's their system where they verify that somebody had a movie ticket, so they actually saw it, so it's not being, manipulated in any way. It's 70%. So, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, we've seen that same kind of pattern with Venom, with both Venom movies, and, a couple other things over the years, like X-Men Apocalypse was panned by critics, but the fans, I think X-Men Apocalypse is at like a 63% or something like that, I think. So, we see this pattern a lot where the critics don't like it, but something does resonate with fans. And a lot of people, so original anticipation and expectations for this movie was like a $30 to $35 million opening. But then once all the reviews started coming out and the critic responses started coming out, people were like, I wouldn't be surprised if this hit like 20 to 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll guess.
Okay.
I'll guess mine. I think, are we talking domestic or worldwide?
Domestic, right?
Domestic, now. I'm going to say 12 million.
You think Morbius opened at $12 million? Yeah? That's your guess? That wasn't to sway you. I was just...
Oh.
That's your final guess?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a hint. Lost City came in at number 2 at $14.7 million.
Oh, so it's got to be higher than Lost City. Okay, so I'll go 18.
18 million?
Yeah.
I think that's a good guess. So, Morbius made $39 million opening weekend.
That's way more than I thought.
It is currently almost at 90 million worldwide.
Okay.
And it
wow. Okay, that's more than I thought.
Outperformed its even before the critical response came out. It outperformed its original estimates of 30 to 35 million. It opened to almost 40 million and then almost 90 million worldwide.
So the reason my my thought process went to that low of a number was, I think originally I saw that it was projected after Thursday to come in at $2 million for those Thursday screenings.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so it seems, I feel like the weekend, maybe it'll just be a lower. And then when we went to go see it, it was like 13 of us in the theater. So I was like, how much money could this movie possibly be making?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It must have just really caught up with itself on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, probably. I guess, because, 40 million's not bad.
I mean, that's nothing to
sneeze at.
Call it? Yeah, nothing to sneeze at. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's like, for this kind of movie, that's really good. And you figure, I believe they said the movie probably cost around, I think they said 80 million to make. So it had like an $80 million budget. Well, yeah, I mean, really think about it. Like, it's really just the vampire effects. That's it.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not like No Way Home where, like, every single shot there's a fully CG Tom Holland. It's like, and granted,
I was ready to say this movie was not making its money back.
Well, right now after the first weekend, it hasn't. But basically,
with a few more weeks,
the target is like, if it makes like 150 million,
boom,
and it's only 60 million away from that. It made $90 million in 4 days. So
damn,
it's possible.
Sorry, I doubted you.
Yeah,
Michael Morbius,
now
I apologize.
Now it could. Are you here to save the world or destroy it? Right. That was a great cut line from the trailer. Poor Jared Harris. Nicholas deserved better.
Can I actually ask a question based on the movie that I meant to ask in the review and I forgot?
Is this the movie Morbius?
Morbius.
Okay.
Do we ever know how Matt Smith got so rich?
No.
I was like, he's in this penthouse with security guards.
Yeah.
He pissed off some Russians, apparently.
Yeah. No, never.
I was like, because when he first walked in with... I forget who. I think it was Jared Leto when he walked into his apartment or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, "Are we gonna talk about?" He's like, he lives in this penthouse.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Anyway.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think that has to do. I think that's probably a lot of like when Matt Smith made those comments before the movie came out, where he was like, They didn't really tell me the backstory, like a lot of the motivation. Like I feel like that.
They said, "What's my character's name?"
Exactly. Lucien Milo? Couldn't possibly tell you the last name.
Nah.
Couldn't possibly tell you the last name. You know what Tyrese's character's name is? FBI Agent Stroud.
Nice.
Yeah. Metal Arms got all kinds of...
You deserve better,
abilities.
Tyrese. I'm going to say it right here.
Yeah. Poor guy. Did you see the video of him... talking to like Soups and like a couple other people at the red.
Oh, I did see
at the
that.
red carpet,
Yeah.
and he was. Like,
I said that to you.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. That's why. Yeah, where he's basically like, hey, I know this movie's gonna suck, but we worked really hard on it. Like he's literally like, I know you gotta write your reviews and say.
Did anything ever
stuff.
come out about that? Did he ever respond to that Scorsese thing?
No, I don't know. If
I
it's
need
still
to
up.
look
You
at
want
that
to check to
still
see
up.
if it's still up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
crazy. Rough.
That's a rough look. I just feel bad for the guy because clearly he does his own social media, and it has blown back in his face, a good amount of times.
What's his handle? Oh, wait, is it just Tyrese?
I think so. But yeah, I mean, like you said, no, we never find out about where Milo got all of his money from. And apparently he's been rich for a very long time because he says to Michael, he's like, have I ever said no to you? Have I ever not given you the money you needed? Mm-hmm. Well, if Michael has been devoting his entire life, Milo must have been pretty rich right out of the gate. He has artwork, so a bunch of paintings and stuff. So maybe he was an art dealer or something.
Yeah.
But again, I'm grasping at straws here.
Okay, so he posted this picture of him with the arm, which again never shows up in the movie. Mm-hmm. And then the description for this post is, question I've had to avoid for 3 years in Morbius. Is Morbius in the Marvel Comics universe? Yes. Is it? I don't.
That's
I don't,
not what. Does he think that's what MCU stands for?
I don't know.
No, I think genuinely, I think we just cracked it.
That's not sold out. Look at all that blue up there.
Wait, let me see that. Sold out. Sold out. Atlantic Station.
That's not sold out though.
Homie, there's like 3 rows fully
So,
open.
real
at the
quick
front.
for anybody listening to audio, Tyrese, if you go to his Instagram page, he posted a picture of like a screenshot of him looking at a theater on like a Fandango at the seating chart, and he has big red letters "sold out" over the top of it, but there's like the full first 2 rows are empty, so it's not sold out. Okay, I don't want to. I feel bad now. I don't want to pile on him.
But
he deleted it. I can't find it.
Oh, okay.
That Martin Scorsese thing. So,
what was I gonna say though? But yes, I think you did just solve something when he was like, because there's that video of him like a year or so ago that was like, I think he was talking to Brandon Davis or something, and he was like, yeah, man, we're in the MCU. It's all part of it, or what? And he was like. BD was like, he was like, oh, was that like that video that went viral? I think you just solved it. I think he genuinely might think that MCU stands for Marvel Comics Universe.
Probably, yeah. Like, well, yes, it is a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
yes,
it is a Marvel movie. And somehow there are characters from the MCU in that film. Don't know how that happened, but it's okay.
Hope the food's better in this joint.
But apparently Tyrese, not detective. I keep wanting to say detective. FBI agent Stroud signed on for a multi-picture deal.
He did. Can't guarantee there's going to be another Morbius.
Reportedly going to be in a Nick Fury type role. That's literally what the reports are.
Can you imagine like putting out a movie like Spider-Man No Way Home and then just fumbling the bag with the next movie that you put out?
with the immediate next film? Like Jesus.
Would you say Venom is better than Morbius?
The first one or the second one?
Both.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Because I agree 100% with, all the reviewers that were just like, Morbius is as good as Venom with no fun. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. Matt Smith he's the only fun thing in that movie because, don't get me wrong, I think Jared Leto was good in the movie, but Michael Morbius is not like a fun character. Like, he cracks jokes here and there, which is like fine or whatever, but like Matt Smith's the only one really hamming it up, whereas like in Venom, I'll say specifically Let There Be Carnage, Woody Harrelson is crushing it, and so is Tom Hardy. Well, he's like giving it his all. I mean, like he's
he's doing the best he can. I guess.
I love when the end of that movie.
All I want to know is if somebody could tell me, is Morbius a villain or a hero? Like
in the comics or in the movie?
Well, just in the movie. Like
in the movie, he's a hero.
He's a hero, but at the end, he's a villain.
Yeah.
So what was this turn he all of a sudden
had? I don't know.
And what was I? What were you saying? Oh yeah, the post credits scene. What was it? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, when he transfers the thing. Let's see what happens with Toxin in the next movie. Enough with these Venom. Can we get like an actual like villain?
Yeah.
Like let's stop with the just symbiotes. You know what I mean?
No, but see, that's what I mean is that honestly, sign me up for. I don't give a shit about Michael Keaton coming in and being like, "Let's say you and I do some good." I don't give a shit about that. But if you said to me, next movie in the Sony universe is Morbius versus Venom, for whatever reason.
How would that work? Oh
how would Godzilla versus Kong work?
No,
They're
I
both
know.
the heroes of their own
No,
movies.
that's true.
Like they could make whatever. How does Batman v Superman? You just write something to make them fight each other. You know what I mean? Like that's more interesting to me because after the one shitty movie, I would like to see more of the character of Michael Morbius.
Yeah.
And I love Tom Hardy as Venom. So it's like I feel like that movie would make so much money if they like brought Andy Serkis back to direct it, because I think, say what you will about Let There Be Carnage, I think the script was through and through the problem in that. Like I don't think Andy Serkis did anything bad. But I just feel like they're just going about it so wrong.
It's also weird to me, like I feel like Carnage is like your like final movie, and like Is that like wrong? Like I don't know anything about like my symbiote kind of knowledge stops with like Carnage. Like
Well, I feel like
there's a bunch of them. I know that. I don't really know them. But like Toxin, I'm like, why wouldn't I be more scared of Carnage? Carnage is like he's a serial killer that murders people. Like Toxin, he's poison, and he's probably gonna be taking over. What isn't that guy like a cop?
Somebody said, "Man, I love Moon Knight." There you
funny.
go. Yeah, Stephen Graham. You talking about Officer Mulligan? Look at that. That was a pull. Schmodown. Officer Mulligan with the toxin eyes, just sitting up there on the scaffolding. The scaffolding, by the way, that the last time we see him, he's like laying on the scaffolding. The same scaffolding that in the final fight plummets to the ground because all the scaffolding falls from the church because the church falls. I don't know. I guess he lived because he has toxin in him or whatever.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, like I think you could do Carnage in the second movie, but like
there's gonna
don't
be
kill
toxin.
him immediately. You know what I mean? Like
toxin.
Yeah, like no, exactly. That's gonna be the next movie. Is
the next tagline.
Yeah, the post credits of Madam Web is gonna be Stephen Graham. He's gonna be like, he killed my. Or wait, are they? No, he's gonna be like, I don't know. He got me. Eddie Brock got me kicked off the squad or something, and he's gonna be like, and then Michael Keaton's gonna be like, oh, Eddie Brock, you say? Works for the Bugle, doesn't he? And then he's gonna, and then
we're gonna get. Then that's how we get. So it's gonna be like we're gonna have Toxin, Vulture, and Morbius in the Sinister 3, and then we're gonna have them face Venom and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Yes, exactly.
Boom. You're welcome, Sony.
Can you genuinely imagine like they build whatever Sinister 6 they're building, and then they're just like, well, who's gonna fight them? And they just pick Venom. Like it's just like they just fumble it so bad.
I can't wait for this to like be a thing. Like it's like.
I mean, honestly, if they're just gonna keep making them, I mean,
More
I
power
will
to
never
you,
not.
okay.
I will never not go see.
That's the problem.
A
though.
Sony Marvel
right?
movie.
That's the problem. It's like nobody's.
Somebody just wrote an article on that. Jeff Snyder tweeted, and he was like, the article is called like studios keep making crappy comic book movies, and it said and it's partially your fault. That's
Right.
what the article is called, and it's like you're 100% right, but it's like, how can it not be my fault when my only job as a consumer is to give the movie a shot and see if it's good?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because my thing is, if we just stop going to them, for other studios, yes. If you stop going to things, they will change things. Look at Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, you see that all the time. If attendance drops, they shake things up. Sony has never had a history of doing that. Sony just, they're not going to see it. Well, more villains. You know what I mean? Like they never learn their. I just can't get over the fact that almost 10 years apart, they did the same thing again. Like literally, and not only did they do the same thing again, there was people. Amy Pascal, and I don't pin anything in Morbius on Amy Pascal because she didn't even work on it. Morbius was not a Pascal Pictures
Production.
thing. Yeah. There's plenty of stuff that can be pinned on Amy Pascal for the Amazing Spider-Man films, which is what I'm about to say. Like, when you have the basement of villains or whatever, the basement of backpacks, and, Dane DeHaan being like, did you have anyone in mind? And he's like, I had a couple. And it's like, whatever the hell his Green Goblin voice was. Like, honestly, to me, the basement of backpacks for, like, Rhino and stuff, that was a better setup. That was terrible. But that was a better setup for Sinister Six than this. Because it's like, okay, well, at least Dane DeHaan, like, at least Dane DeHaan, he's rich. He could actually put together a group of people. His father was already working on all the stuff. Like, they have for some reason, they have the Rhino suit and the Vulture wings and Doc Ock's arms and stuff already made at Oscorp.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like, I don't know how that works. But, I mean, that was a better setup than this because it's literally doesn't even make sense. Why would Vulture want to do this? I digress. But I think whoever the Spider-Man ends up being or whatever it is, it's gonna be one hell of a ride, and there will be toxin. I saw somebody posted, they were like, it was like the Sinister Six they were like, this is all we're asking for the Sinister Six, and it was the lineup from it was the 5 from No Way Home and then Mysterio. And then it was like the Sinister Six that Sony wants to give us. And it was like Craven, Morbius, Madam Web, Web. Venom. And
who again is also not a villain, right? Madam Web's not like,
yeah, she's just kind of like she's like a middle. Like she like runs the web of life. Like she like does like the multiverse of like the spider web of life or whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
it's gonna be a rough movie for me to watch, I think.
Madam Web, yeah, because they don't know what the fuck a multiverse is.
No, I'm talking about for all these spiders that are gonna show up. I'm assuming there's gonna be spiders.
I don't know. I wouldn't count on that. I mean, how many spiders are there really in
not
Spider-Man
that many,
movies?
Really. Just the one that bites him, and that's it. Really.
Yeah, but I mean, even in Tom's, there was none.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Maybe it'll be.
Probably, and really, there was only like multiple spiders in the Amazing Spider-Man, because Toby, there's like the grid of the 14, but they were in little cubes, like they were contained and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Andrews was the only one to me that was creepy, because it was just like the one bit him and then they all fell. Remember? Because like it bit him and then the whole hive like died or something, so they all just dropped to the ground, and I was like, I do not like that.
But
yeah.
Anyway,
so you think Venom Morbius verse you think it's gonna be Garfield? Or who do you think?
That's just who I guessed. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Not Tobey Maguire. I just hope, and it's kind of amazing the more you look at it, how Sony was able to put together Into the Spider-Verse, and it came out so good. Mm-hmm. And you do this movie, and it just, like, please do not pull Into the Spider-Verse into this live-action universe.
Didn't you see the director of Morbius said? He said I would bet you $100. He said I would bet you $100 that you will see not Miles Morales. He said not Miles Morales. He said I bet you $100 that you will see Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse in a live-action Sony movie.
Now, is he saying that because $100 is not a lot to him?
I think he said more than 100. I can't remember what number he said, but he was like, it basically sounded like he was like, no, they definitely want to do that.
I beg you, don't do that. Just keep it.
And I genuinely think the difference is, and this is not saying that she's perfect, because she has made so many mistakes with so many Spider-Man movies, but I genuinely think the difference is Amy Pascal, like, Into the Spider-Verse is like a passion project for her, and that's like her thing. You look at something like Morbius, and that's all Avi Arad. Like, that's his jam. Like, he's the one kind of helming all that stuff, and he has a terrible track record. Not even just with Spider-Man, but with superhero movies in general, like with the Blade films and stuff, how those were, definitely law of diminishing returns. But
last thing I'll say real quick, if you're going to connect any Spider-Man franchise, connect Spider-Man the game to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Obviously, they both have their own miles already, but if you could do something cool where it's like, there
was
Oscar Isaac's freaking
45 Peter Parkers.
Yeah, like Oscar Isaac's Spider-Man shows up in I think that'd be so cool in the game.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
So you mean the other way?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Imagine if they did like Spider-Man 3 or whatever. They like introduce like a multiverse thing. Yeah. I think you'd have to keep it simple. Like you'd have to be like I don't think that you could add in like a multiversal aspect of the gameplay. But I think you could be like, the story is like a portal opened and it's Peter B. Parker. What happens now? Like, I think that would be interesting. Yeah. That would be really interesting.
All right. After we went on that really long tangent.
Yeah. I mean, we're still, it's like, we don't really have
So, what is next? You want to talk about the ticketing snafu?
Yeah, let's talk about the ticketing snafu. So, if you guys knew or not, there were some tickets that went on sale this morning for a little film called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi, which is due to come out exactly 1 month from today, Thursday, May 6th. And so for like some context, the previous to now, the two biggest movies, really at all, the two biggest movies were Spider-Man: No Way Home, and then before that was all the way back to Rise of Skywalker, almost 2.5, almost 3 years apart. And both of those websites were or both of those movie releases famously crashed all the ticketing sites. So they had, I believe, I want to say Rise of Skywalker was 9 p.m. Eastern, something like that. So I believe Rise of Skywalker was like 9 p.m. Eastern, and then I believe No Way Home was was No Way Home midnight?
It was late.
I think I want to say it was midnight. So those are like two times of the day where, you know, a lot of people are home and ready to buy the tickets, and I totally get that. They want to sell as many tickets as possible. But both of those cases, every single ticketing site went down. Regal, AMC, Cinemark, you know, whatever, Fandango, Atom Tickets, all the subsidiary ones, you know, that kind of are their own thing. Everything went down for those. And people have been crying out saying, you know, these places, you have to be ready for the volume that these ticket purchases are going to do to your website. And it's like, I get it, that's additional cost that you have to worry about. But think of, you're a perfect example, not to steal your story for, I'm sure you'll say in a minute. You were wanting to buy it from one place, you couldn't, so you spent your money elsewhere.
That's exactly what I thought of.
Yeah, like you know, yes, there's a cost to increasing your bandwidth and your server space or whatever, but think about how many more ticket sales you're gonna have because people aren't gonna be like, well, I'm frustrated with this, let me go somewhere else. And so basically the big thing was this movie, Disney decided to change it so the tickets went on sale at 9 a.m. Eastern and then 6 a.m. Pacific, and then, you know, everywhere else at whatever time that would be for your local time zone. And the idea was, well, the East Coast people would probably be either going to or already be at work, and with 6 a.m. on the West Coast, that would, you know, a lot of people would still be asleep. So, yes, they want to sell as many tickets as possible, but they also wanted to kind of break it up a little bit, so that it wasn't just everyone's home at the time that they go live, boom, everybody jumps online at the exact same time, which did work, I will say, because it was a lot better this time. There was really only one major site. A couple of the other ones did end up going down here and there, but really the main one was, like it says in the title and in the thumbnail, AMC theaters just bit the dust. I mean, it was trending for hours and hours. Like there had to have been, I would say there had to have been thousands, maybe like tens of thousands of people tweeting, because there was, at one point it said like 90K tweets about this in the last hour. And that's a lot of people riled up about stuff. But basically, people would go to buy the tickets on AMC, and it would either boot you out. They still had the queue thing that they introduced.
Bullshit does not work.
Yeah, exactly. They introduced that with, did they introduce the queue thing with No Way Home or Rise of Skywalker?
I think it was Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. Yeah, so they introduced it with that. It hasn't worked all three times.
Because they kind of learned from Endgame.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
Yeah. And so all their stuff went down, and not only did their sites go down, so people weren't able to purchase tickets, but also, I'm not making any accusations or anything like that, but what was more concerning to me was that people that could get a sale through that had AMC A-List, it was saying that their A-List wasn't working.
Oh.
Which, you know, I'm not making any accusations because that's legal territory or whatever, and that is a crime if that's what they were doing. But, you know, that would be one way to make some more money, is say, well, what if, you know...
These are tweets you saw?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also, Star Wars Theory and like a bunch of different YouTube channels that I watch, including both Rob and John on the John Campea show. They all had A-List, and even Star Wars Explained, Alex from there was tweeting that none of their A-List was working.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a little questionable to me.
Yeah.
Because, well, if your A-list isn't working, you might be saying, well, then how did they get tickets? By paying full price, of course. Which is, insane, but yeah, so that's what happened. Now, I didn't get my tickets because as you guys have known, I work in a movie theater, so I'm just going to wait. Honestly, I won't say what I did, but I used to work for one movie theater company. Now I work for another one. The one I work for now has so many more locations. Like, that's really why, because
in our area.
Yeah, in our area, because even when I worked at the old one, I would still buy tickets as soon as they went on sale because I knew there's so few screens that I can get for free. I knew I was not going to be able to get tickets for it. But now, I mean, I went from, well, I guess I'll say the numbers. I went from, hoping to get in at like 16 auditoriums to now like 115 auditoriums. Like, so I didn't get my tickets because I know on the day of I'll just go to the one near my house and be able to get in for free. Perks of working in a movie theater. I'm sorry to anybody who couldn't get their tickets. But so I did not experience any of this because I was at work this morning. What was your experience? I'll just give you the floor. You can launch in whatever you want to go into.
Yeah. So earlier, because I remember it, I think it was, I remember seeing it last night. I think it was what time they were coming out. And I kind of compartmentalized that somewhere in my brain or whatever. And then I was like scrolling Twitter today, and I think I saw it on TikTok or on Twitter or something and then I saw something that reminded me like, oh yeah, they're on sale today. So then I looked, and I think it was about like 10 a.m. or so. Or actually I have like an email that I could check, the confirmation email. But yeah, I went to go look, and I was like, oh, they're on sale. Cool. So I originally was on the AMC app, which is what I usually do for anything that I buy, just because, this isn't breaking news, but I worked there for 5 years, and that's just, it was always closer to my house when I lived with my parents, so that's just where I have gone usually. So I opened the app. It looks like I bought them around like 10 a.m. Opened the app, went to the nearest location that I usually go to, and put me in the queue. I clicked the time I wanted, put me in the queue, and picked the seats, no problem. Picked the 2 adult tickets for me and my girlfriend, and it just did not let me purchase them. It kept saying error. So every time I tried to like press purchase, I already had my card on there. Or I think it was even continuing after, not even getting to the card screen. It was after where it asks you if you want to like order food ahead or whatever. Yeah. It would just error out. So I was like, okay, so AMC, clearly the app is broken still. I tried the website, and it did that thing where it wouldn't let me pick the seats I had bought because they hadn't timed out yet, or I had picked originally. So I had to buy I had to try to get 2 different seats on the website. That errored out as well. So I went, okay, I'll give up. I'll go to the Fandango app because I feel like Fandango, that's what they do. They're a third-party ticket seller, so they're a little bit more reliable.
A little bit more on top of it.
Yeah. So I went on Fandango app. I went to AMC again to try and do it. And I picked 2 new seats, and it also errored out. So I went, okay. So Fandango, not perfect. So then I went to the theater you work at, and I clicked 2 seats on there. And every time I tried to buy them, it said that they were already taken, and I had to pick new ones. So I did 2 taken, tried 2 new ones, taken, 2 new ones, taken. It's like, okay, well, what can I get? Like, you're telling me they're open. Clearly they're not open. Maybe they're not open, or you're just like, you think I'm trying to buy them, but like maybe, because it was weird because like, I don't know. They were open, but I guess they weren't. Weird. So then I gave up. And then I just went to a different Regal location that we have in our area, and I had no problem buying them. Yeah. Which, it was just kind of odd. But yeah, the whole AMC, like, I don't understand how they just don't understand at this point. Like, I don't get it. Yeah. Like they see that it crashes their system when there's a big release, and
it's
everybody
not like, oh, well, they haven't had time to pivot. This has been this has happened every time. This has happened with Doctor Strange, happened with the Batman, happened with
Spider-Man,
No Way Home, happened with, I can't stress this enough, happened with No Way Home, and then happened 2 years earlier, 2 full years earlier, with Rise of Skywalker, and you don't fix it. And they tried to make improvements with Rise of Skywalker.
No, Endgame was... You're forgetting Endgame. Endgame was bad.
No, that's what I'm saying. They tried to make improvements with Rise of Skywalker, which was 6 months after Endgame.
Endgame, yeah.
So we're talking they have had a full almost 3 years to be like, okay, this is a problem. We need, this needs to be a big priority. And like we said at the top, obviously, it's a problem that comes with a cost to fix. But think of how many more tickets it's so basic. It's like, think about how many more tickets you would sell.
Think of the Fandango. You think of the fee you don't have to give Fandango if they buy it in your app.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
no, exactly. The
money you have
or
to
like
share.
not, or Atom Tickets, or any of those places. You want, if you're a film vendor and a film distributor, you want people buying tickets to your movie theater, and if they're buying it online, you want them buying it on your website. Because I work at a movie theater, and I can tell you we do not make as much money on a Fandango ticket as we do on one bought on our website. That's just how it works. Like, it's just so stupid to me that they just still haven't adjusted.
But like it puts you in that stupid queue, and the queue was like, oh, like we're sending you in. It took like 2 minutes or whatever. It's not like, like Spider-Man wait times were like an hour or 2 hours, and then you'd wait and you couldn't buy a ticket. And it's like, okay, what was the point of that? So it put you in, and then you had to pick them. But you just could not. It just aired out every time, and that I mean, to me, like also like the app just kind of trash anyway. From using it as a consumer and also just dealing with it as an employee, it's not very good. A lot of improvements, I think, come down to the whole like stubs thing and everything.
It is pouring outside.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
But I got my tickets. I did get them, but like it just boggles my mind how they just don't look. They don't want to invest in the infrastructure for their website. Like that makes absolutely no sense to me.
No, absolutely.
And again, like we worked when Endgame came out. You were still there, right? You came back at that point?
No, I came back.
Oh yeah,
like
we talked
I basically
about this,
skipped right out of it.
Right. But like at that point when I was working, like the whole website crashed literally. Like you could not I don't think you could load it.
Yeah.
So when I went to buy my tickets for that, I just happened to have the day off because I was still in college at this point. And I walked in and there was a line out the door from people like here physically trying to buy the tickets. And it's like, this could just be solved if we, had the clearly like Fandango maybe, took a point and was like, hey, maybe we should,
I think they all did.
Bulk this up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think they all did because you look, there were some reports a little bit later on, like around noon and stuff, that the Cinemark website had gone down and that Atom Tickets had gone down. But then you look, like you said, you look at things like Regal and Fandango, it didn't go down at all. And it's like, clearly they're, like we said before, they went down with all those other movies. So clearly other places are making the changes. Like, I just don't, and Atom Tickets to me doesn't really, because they're so small. Like they're not, they're not a Fandango, they're the closest Fandango competitor, but it's like, they're so different. Like, so I don't expect them to be able to have like, the highest, website bandwidth or capacity or whatever. But I mean, AMC is, their whole thing is, we're the number one, it's the what do they say? They make movies better.
They do, yeah.
How? You know what I mean? Like,
according to Nicole.
I don't know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, maybe if like Nicole Kidman was the only one running the website, I would understand. You know what I mean? Like, she'd be like, "Oh my God, what is going on here?" You got Keith Urban in the back plugging away, like he's like, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, something's got to change because you these movie premieres, they're getting
bigger.
They're getting bigger. They are getting fewer and far between. But that's only because we're really just starting to get back up and running after COVID because, sure, it's been, what is it? Well, it'll be 5 months between No Way Home and Doctor Strange. But then guess what? 2 months later is Thor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a really quick turnaround time. Like, it's because what that means is, you know, Thor tickets will probably go on sale like at the beginning of June. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens then. But I'm sure we will be right back in the same situation. I'm sure of it. I don't know.
Please fix the system. Please. I'm begging you. Because,
All right.
that was the other thing. I had to pay money. I was going to use my passes.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's so
really
frustrating.
sucked.
Yeah,
that
that's
really sucked.
frustrating. Yeah. All right. So, you want to talk a little Mark and Steven?
Yeah, let's do it.
And Moon Knight as a whole. All right, so episode 2 of Moon Knight premiered early this morning, or, you know, late last night, depending on what coast you're on or where you're at in the world. I took a look at it this morning. I woke up very early before my shift, and I watched it. I'll say right off the bat, I thought it was a fantastic episode. I thought Oscar Isaac was somehow even better this week, getting to do even more of the acting against not only a physical Oscar Isaac in Reflections, but just vocally getting to act against himself even more in this episode, as well as F. Murray Abraham, who speaks more in his head, and you actually see, this is full spoilers, by the way, and you actually see Khonshu physically a lot more in this episode. But for me, and then I'll toss to you, the single greatest thing in this episode was the kind of philosophical conversation between Steven and Ethan Hawke's character, Harrow, about, you know, kind of the, like, predeterminism and, you know, a lot of the, like, Minority Report stuff of, like, well, isn't it just as bad if you're punishing people before they commit a crime? Because what if they don't even do it?
Right.
I thought that was the... and then just the acting in that scene of, you see that, you know, to us, well, yeah, Steven is making a lot of good points, but you see, like, Ethan Hawke's character is just getting more and more frustrated, like, as he's talking. I just love that scene a lot. But what did you think of it? Oh, and also the introduction of Lila, his Mark's wife, I thought was a really good addition.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought this episode was great. I thought it was better. I think I like it more than the first one.
Mr. Knight.
Mr. Knight, yep. I love seeing more Khonshu. I liked hearing more of F. Murray Abraham's great voice kind of in his head. I liked more of the Steven Mark battle between the two. Yeah. You know, Steven kind of saying, you know, I got this. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, we don't need you every time. And he does it more just because, like, he doesn't want him to take control of his body. Not saying that he could, because I think I know, like, inside he knows, like, he can't take
He's not
on,
as good a fighter as
right?
Mark,
He's not as good as a fighter. But yeah, I loved all that. I laughed too. Like, I thought the "Fly Like a Bird, Sting Like a Bee" and "My Name's Steven" without a V or with a V. I laughed at that. Yeah. I thought that was really funny.
No, that was great.
And it is kind of goofy, but, like, I thought it was
and I
funny.
get that people are, like, I wouldn't say people are pissed, but I get that people are like, well, that's not what Mr. Knight is.
Right. I didn't, because I didn't know what he was.
Well, props to us. Our prediction was totally right.
What did we say?
We were like, because they're changing so much from the comics, we both said, we were like, I wouldn't be surprised if
he's just his version.
Yeah, if Mr. Knight just is Steven's version of Moon Knight.
Which I like. I didn't know that he was kind of this, like, I heard him described as this, as the Bruce Wayne kind of, where he's kind of cool, like, you know, he's not like this,
like in the comics. Steven is, he's very much like that. And then Mr. Knight is totally separate from Steven, is like if you just had the detective portion of Batman.
And I think at that point you're kind of juggling a lot of personalities, or it's like we have Mr. Knight, and then we have Moon Knight, and then we have Mark, and then we have Steve. It's like, okay, like, you know.
And I like too that they're all well, actually we did get a little sense that maybe they aren't. I was just going to say that, you know, Mark to Moon Knight are still, that difference, even though physically Mark becomes Moon Knight and then physically Steven becomes Mr. Knight, it just seems like their personality like amped up. You know what I mean? Like amped up on adrenaline or whatever. Whereas even in the comics, like Mark becomes Moon Knight, but Moon Knight is his own identity, totally separate from Mark. Whereas this one felt almost more like, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I think I agree with what you're saying, that for a show like this, you have to kind of simplify it more, and you can get a little more complex later on, I feel. But like this one is like, well, it's just Steven in a suit,
right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I did like how when Mr. Knight when he starts like fighting the another one of the jackals. Which I like that we got like confirmation that they're invisible to everyone else.
I still think the CGI not the best, but that's like kind of my only.
See, I feel like it's just,
only with that
like it's fine.
I think Conchu looks good.
Yeah,
but like the jackal, I think look kind of
yeah.
Iffy.
But I will say I think the problem still is just they just have to spend it on what they feel like they really need to. And like, yeah, did the jackal look perfectly photorealistic? No. But I'll tell you what did look incredible is straight out of the comic books, Moon Knight sprinting across rooftops and then that jump with the cape and everything. And we know from the trailer,
from the Disney Plus thing,
exactly, the Disney Plus logo jump from the trailer. But we know from that trailer that like we're gonna get more awesome cape action later on in the series. But we finally got our like first taste of the suit kind of in motion, because really in the first episode we only get it for one scene, and it's just he's just punching somebody and then he just walks towards camera. So getting to see the suit actually in like motion and in like fluid motion, I thought was great.
I was also happy to know that the suit is a thing that people see.
Yeah, because we weren't too sure on that, because it could kind of go either way.
Because, well, like, I think Lola, right? That's her name? Lila?
Layla. Yeah.
Layla's like, oh, suit up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, like, people see that he's in a suit. Because, we weren't sure at the time. And even when he sees him on the security camera in the beginning, I was like, oh, is the suit not visible to anybody?
Yeah, that's what I was
But then
saying.
I was like, oh, he probably just,
But then, like, of course, what are the chances that this guy has like a 26 monitor setup? You're telling me not? Yeah. You're telling me that the closest I get that you can't have a oh my god, you can't have a camera inside the bathroom,
right?
But you're telling me the closest that they could get was like the hallway outside, because you see the jackal or whatever, and you see Moon Knight in the hallway, like, but whatever.
I do also like that the jackal is not, it's not like I thought it might be where it's like a normal person, it's just like they move their hand and there's like nothing.
Yeah,
but like
it's
just
a physical
invisible.
being. It's just
it's
invisible.
physical. It's just invisible.
Because when Layla, when she like throws the sand and the dust on it, and then you can kind of like see it. Yeah, I thought that was really, really good. And then I love also too, as dark as this show has been, the comedy too was just fantastic. I mean, like you said, the like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Oh, is it butterfly? I said bird.
Oh no, yeah.
Okay.
It's like the float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and my name's Steven with a V. Like that was great. But then also when he's fighting the jackal as Mr. Knight, and then it cuts to the wide shot of him just like fighting nothing, and you hear the old lady at the restaurant go, "Oh dear, I think he's having an episode or something, or like he's having a fit.
He's
or
a drunk or something."
Yeah, like whatever she said. I thought that was so funny because it's like you're in this like intense action scene, and then you just cut to the wide shot, and he's just like swinging at nothing. Right. And I really like to that there was no like, Steven being like, oh my god, I feel the power, it's the power, it's surging, like there was none of that. It was just like he got scared, grabbed the car, and then you realize that he crushed the bumper and took it off in his hand, and you just see that Steven looks at his hand, looks at the bumper, drops it, and like you understand everything right there. Like there was no need for like, oh what's happening to me? And Mark
Right.
going, your senses are doubled. Your strength
Right.
is that of a, abnormally, or that of a perfect spec.
Yeah.
Like, there was none of that. It was just like, he now has the same powers that Moon Knight has. He's just in a different form.
Yeah. Now, I do have 2 questions for you that I kind of want you to think about and get your take on. One, is Khonshu a good guy? Because he's kind of forcing Mark to do his bidding with the threat of that.
Yeah, I mean, he straight up threatened him.
He'll go and possess. Looks right. Possess. What's her name again? Sorry.
Layla.
And
I want to double check that.
my second question is, do we know the origin of, like, who's the real person? Do you know what I mean? And maybe because you have multiple personalities, there's not really one real personality.
Mm-hmm.
But like, who's the real kind of person? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, physically, in the comics at least, I feel like there's totally room in this show for it to upend itself.
Right.
Like, because, so many, like, in the comics, Mark is the actual person. Like, Mark, it's, person was born Mark Spector, like, that whole thing. But I feel like the show is doing all this interesting stuff where they're like, oh, it's so cool that, like, the show is actually, mainly driven by, like, Steven's perspective, at least for now. But I feel like an interesting thing would be a reveal that, no, in this version, Steven is the real one. And Mark is the split. I think that would be interesting.
Right, because, like, the way I'm asking questions in my head is, like, when did one of these personalities become a problem? You know what I mean? Because, like, we have Mark as a mercenary, right? We have that background knowledge now, that's pulled straight from the comics, right? Like, he's a mercenary.
Yeah.
And his whole death and how he kind of is resurrected. But what? And I think it's maybe just when the show starts, because obviously he's been having this problem before. But, like, tell me when, like, this started. You know what I mean? Because, like,
I think just then. I think just in the first episode.
Right. Because, like, I'm just trying to get, like, a timeline. And
I'm trying to remember the first episode. What is the, like, inciting incident?
I mean, he just wakes up from the dream, or he's having the dream when.
Oh yeah, I guess that's just what we don't know yet. That was the inciting incident was when Steven woke up in the field.
Right.
That was it.
Oh, and he's like, "You're supposed to be asleep."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, he's like, "Oh, this guy woke up." Great.
Yeah. I feel like if Khonshu hadn't said anything, and he just, like, Mark could have, like, wrestled control back or something. But yeah, I guess that's when. That's when
I think it's just because it's kind of hard, because it's really difficult to pinpoint, because obviously Mark was married to this, Layla.
But then who asked out the girl at the museum?
It was Mark, I'm assuming.
But if he's married.
But they were trying to get a divorce, so that's why that's why I'm putting it together. I know it's kind of
yeah, but I mean, no, yes, you're absolutely right. But I mean, the divorce was only to, like, get her out of the danger of life. So I wouldn't really, like, see him just, like, asking someone out.
Right. But, like, see, like, that's where it is kind of confusing to me, where it's like, okay, Mark Spector has this passport, and obviously with this kind of disorder, I think you have gaps in your memory and time and stuff like that. But, like, I really am interested to see, like, when, because I just think it's hard where it's like, he died, but then, like, how he's been having this other personality kind of tucked away back in his head somewhere, and then it kind of comes to fruition all of a sudden. But, like, I just wish I had, like, a timeline from start to finish. Like, okay, all this happened to lead up to here. That's what I think I want. I want more background knowledge.
Well, I feel like we're gonna get it too, because I feel like we're still in store for the episode that will give us Mark's perspective on things. Because when Steven wakes up in the field, in the trailer, you see in the trailer Oscar, who we didn't know at the time, but you see in the trailer Oscar Isaac falling onto the field.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming that we're at least going to get a portion of an episode or an entire episode going back and giving us Mark's perspective to fill in those things. But I think equally likely, because we know that from, a lot of the press, any of the press that got the screeners, they got the first 4 episodes because the creators and everybody were like, oh yeah, episode 4 is really where it, twists on itself, basically. I still think that there's a great chance that either a lot of what we're seeing isn't even happening at all.
Oh, jeez.
Or that, because the one person that has been missing in all of this is Jake Crowley, the third personality. I think we could equally likely get a reveal that there has been a third one the whole time.
Yeah.
That neither Mark or Steven know about.
Yeah.
Something like that. I think that's totally possible.
Oh, boy.
But yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think about, you liked Ethan Hawke in this episode?
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic.
I agree.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people saying, like, he should have been doing comic book stuff a long time ago. It's like, he didn't want to.
Yeah. He's made that clear.
Yeah, like he said, he was not about comic book, like, movies and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's fantastic. And I love what they're doing with the character, that is just totally a patchwork quilt of different elements from the comics, different people from the comics, just kind of mashed into one. Like, I think that's fantastic. Like, because it's like, think about how liberal they're being with the interpretation of Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think anybody is going to see that and then be like, well, why isn't his villain perfectly accurate? You know what I mean? It's like, I really think that that's interesting because, like people said, like Arthur Harrow in the comics was just more of like a ruthless, like, billionaire, like pharmaceutical guy. Like, it's totally different with this. But then it's bringing in a lot of the like Egyptian gods and mythology and stuff to this, which I think is fantastic. And I really am excited to see where we go next episode, because this episode obviously ends with Ethan Hawke having the what is it, the scarab? Yeah, having the scarab. I keep wanting to say scarif, like Rogue One. Having the scarab, and we find out that the scarab is in fact a compass, it's like a golden snitch, like it's like a compass leading to Amit's tomb.
Mm-hmm.
And then so Ethan Hawke is heading over to that, and then we end the episode with, well, we don't really know who wakes up,
right?
But one of the personalities waking up in Cairo with like a bottle in their hand.
I also thought that was interesting that Ethan Hawke used to be Khonshu's avatar.
Yeah,
that was an interesting little.
He used to be Moon Knight.
Yeah, I mean, well, he called himself something different.
The Fist of Vengeance or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Which in the comics, Moon Knight is called the Fist of Khonshu.
Oh, really?
So they just like changed it.
It?
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, I'm sure like past Moon, just like Steven becomes Mr. Knight. I'm sure it's like every recipient that is the avatar probably has a slightly different
I wonder if we'll get a little bit more too on that relationship between Ethan Hawke and Khonshu's kind of
like
relationship.
that actually. You just saying that reminded me. I liked when they, obviously I already said I liked the Steven and Harrow stuff in this episode, but I liked how many times before you find out that he used to be Khonshu's avatar, how Khonshu would say something and then he would be like, is he saying, that you should kill me?
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't have to listen to it. Like, and I thought that was cool too, that like who we assume at this point is the villain of the series, like, actually giving good advice to the hero, being like, like when Khonshu kind of has his little like freak out when he originally started talking to Harrow, and all the like plastic sheets on like the scaffolding and stuff move in the wind and stuff, and like Ethan Hawke's hair and Steven's like, oh, and he's like, it's okay, he's like, that's all he can do to you if you don't give him any control. Like, he's like literally he can't touch you.
Right.
As long, like, it's just your own fear. Like, and that was like actual good advice. So it's like, I don't know. It almost like, and obviously, at this point, Ethan Hawke isn't like a maniacal, evil person. It's just like, he has a very firm religious and like societal views, I guess you would call it, like, and then takes it to the extreme of like that like ceremony or whatever with the scales. But it's like you kind of said, Khonshu is on the side of, like he says, you know, I serve justice to those who deserve
it. Yeah.
Whereas Harrow is, you know, he just, it's like Minority Report. Like, Harrow just serves justice, you know, to an outsider, however he feels. But, you know, to him, it's like, well, it's not however I feel. It's, you know, it's, he believes that it's Ammit telling him which way it goes. And I just think that that's so interesting that it almost might come down to, like, at the end, Harrow having like a crisis where he maybe realizes that, like, if Ammit ends up being the villain, then maybe he's been serving, you know, this, you know, terrible thing that he didn't think was. And it might be a nice full circle moment for the first episode when he tells Steven that, you know, Ammit was betrayed by her avatar. Maybe he is on a path to betray her again and, you know, take himself out and Ammit or something for the greater good or something. Just because I don't know if it's just because he's so charming, but it's like he takes care of his people. He does do that weird thing where, like, he might murder you. But, like, other than that, he's like
that guy that picks up the scarab and he goes, give me that, and then he takes from him and then he kills him.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, okay.
That was a little over the top, yeah. But, like, you know, I think the door is still open to kind of, not him be redeemed, but him kind of be like, you know, realize the error of his ways and then, you know, either like sacrifice himself to take out Ammit or something. And like I said, I don't know if that's just because he's so, like, Ethan Hawke's just so good and, like, charming in the I almost said the movie, in the show, or if it's, you know, the actual character. But, you know, he just doesn't strike me yet as, like, a purely evil guy. And Khonshu is very much like, you know, well, we have to kill him. We can't let him get anything. We can't. And it's almost like kind of what you were saying, like, well, what does Khonshu have to hide?
It's kind of like the thing with, like, Thanos, where Thanos, like, he doesn't want to like rule the world per se. He wants to save humanity in his view by wiping out half the population. Whereas, like, he wants to save people from dying from the hands of these people that he thinks are going to do these terrible things. So I think it's kind of that cool way where it's, you know, like you said, like at the end, maybe they have a crisis of conscience and they're like, oh, what you like this guy, the thing that's controlling me or that I'm serving wants to take over the world. Like, oh, well, you know, like, what am I doing now? Like,
yeah, exactly.
That is really interesting. I'm excited to see what that looks like. What that like, it looks like a crocodile. What does it look like? A crocodile or an alligator
we've
or something?
seen Khonshu, but we haven't seen Ammit yet in any form. But yeah, I think that'll be super.
What else can his cane do? Just summon?
I don't know. I'm sure at the very least he can summon probably like anything from the underworld or whatever that is. I mean, I don't think that's like an alien portal. Like, I think that was like genuinely our first look at something like genuinely supernatural was because even the Moon Knight suit, like, we've seen things like that happen before, you know, but him literally opening a hole in the ground and then like a demon climbing out of it, like that to me strikes me as like truly the first supernatural elements that we've seen in the MCU. Also, by the way, as much as that one writer said, you know, oh, well, we're completely separate or the producer was like, we're completely separate from the MCU, and everyone was like, Moon Knight's not in the MCU. We did get our first overt thing with on the bus that he turns into Moon Knight next to, there's a GRC banner, like the Global Repatriation Council from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, whatever that one producer said aside, it is definitely set in the MCU.
It's on Disney Plus. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like because he was like, he meant like tonally and like story wise
Oh.
when he was like, it's set very much apart from the rest of the MCU, and then people were like, Moon Knight not in the MCU, and it's like, that's not what he said. Probably was a better way to phrase that, but that's not what he said. But interestingly, Oscar Isaac is not signed on to any like multi-picture or multi-thing. So
probably after Star Wars, he's probably like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said that he didn't want to jump into anything, and he said that he talked to Kevin and he was like, if I'm going down like this kind of a road again, I want it to very much be something that I want to do and something that I can not control, but have my say in, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, it kind of was led to so much of the creative freedom that Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke have been talking about. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and like you said, like, yeah, I'm sure he didn't want to sign on for multiple stuff. Like he called it like the golden handcuffs. Like he was like, he was like, as much as I love money, I don't want the golden handcuffs of Marvel on me. But I'm sure after the success of this and how much creative freedom really he had, I'm sure he's going to be back. I mean, no, I shouldn't even say that. He is 100% going to be back, but I wouldn't be surprised if he probably comes back for maybe one other thing, and then once the character is super popular, they'll offer him like, they'll be like, about $40 million for five roles. Okay, I can do that. But also, I mean, honestly, at that point, I don't think he would say no to it in the case of he's got so much say in the character.
I also think it comes down to I think this character's probably way more planned out than any of those Star Wars movies were. Or his character in those movies.
And not only that, but think about how many times he either, in the beginning, hinted at, by the time of Rise of Skywalker, just fully, like, he was very actively pushing to have Poe be, like, either bi or gay or, like, a member of the LGBT community. Oh,
they're going to say, like, just he's done, like,
Poe. Yeah, but he was very vocal towards the end, like, that he was unhappy with where the character went, just like a lot of people in that trilogy. But, I feel like it's refreshing to him because it's like, it's this guy who, I love Apocalypse. I'm going to get to play Apocalypse. And then you're like, how about, 110 pounds of latex and rubber and, one of the worst written villains in a franchise that typically has good villains, I would say, with the X-Men. So I'm sure he was probably burnt out on that, and then of course Star Wars being burnt out on that. So I feel like it's gonna take him some time, but I feel like he'll be like, wow, okay, this is truly a more free and open experience type of thing. Or maybe we'll find out that all of it was just press talk and that he hates playing the character. Or something.
Maybe.
But
the way Ethan Hawke talks about him going up to him at that coffee shop and saying like, "Oh, I'm working on this thing," like, seemed like he was really into it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that'll still give him more time to play Solid Snake if that movie happens.
He said, "We're working on it. We're climbing around. We're looking.
We're searching for a story."
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I think you could bet on that movie's not coming out anytime soon. What would your star rating be for the episode?
I can't remember what I gave the last.
I think I gave 4. I think I gave it 4. Or maybe 4.5. Yeah, it was definitely in the 4. It was definitely 4 to 5.
Yeah, I'd give this like a 4.5. Like I think it was. I think it was better than last. Not by much, but I thought I was, and I don't mean like it was so much better than last week. I thought it would be lucky if this episode was as good as last week, because I think it had such a strong opening. But yeah, I think it was a little bit better. And like I said, I really enjoyed this episode, and I really enjoyed where it ended to lead us into whatever the next episode might be, because we see him wake up in Cairo. Like, I think he's like shirtless and has like a whiskey bottle in his hand and stuff. And to me, that doesn't strike me as Mark or Steven. Right. So we might be getting Jake Crowley or I keep saying Jake Crowley. That Crowley is the name of the gold statue guy. I can't remember what
Who-
Jake's last name
Who
is.
I heard could be some comic book character that is like his friend or
Crowley.
something. Oh, that's
yeah,
okay.
that's his name. I keep saying Jake Crowley, but that's not what it is. Hang on, I'll look it up because it's killing me. But what do you think? Do you think that there is some sort of a third personality, or do you think that who do you think we saw wake up at the end of the episode?
I think it could be, but I hesitant to think like that we add because it's usually 3, right?
Yeah.
So
It's always
It's
three.
always
It's
3?
always 3, if not more. But
yeah, I think it'd be interesting to throw another one in there, but I don't know if it's like too soon. But I agree with you that I don't think that looks like either of those. It doesn't look like Mark or Steven.
yeah,
With the drinking, at least, because Steven's a vegan, and he doesn't strike me as a drinker, and Mark, I don't know. He seems like he could be, if he was down on his luck, he could be a drinker or something like that. Like not like heavy drinker, just like he could drink. He'd have a drink or two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe this is like a third one. And if there is a third one, then does he have a Moon Knight persona?
Mark Spector identities. Can't find it on the freaking wiki page.
Maybe you made it up.
Yeah, I got Stephen Grant. Thank you. Oh, Jake Lockley. That's what it is.
Okay.
Not Jake Crowley. Jake Lockley. Yeah, so I think it's possible, but like what you just said, yeah, I think with Steven being a vegan and, I don't think that Mark would be like drinking away his problems or whatever. He seems very like man of action, like he's going to go out and fix stuff, not just like, wake up and like not that we know that he's drunk or anything, but like wake up with a bottle in his hand type of thing. So I think it could go either way. Either way, I'm really, really looking forward to it. But let us know, what do you guys think? What did you think of episode 2 of Moon Knight? Where do you think the show is going to go? Are you excited to continue with the show? Yeah, let us know everything, all your thoughts on Moon Knight down below. Is there anything else you want to cover?
No, I think that'll end the show.
I think that'll do it. So, again, we want to stress to you guys, absurdly stress to you guys, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and especially now TikTok. TikTok, we are really, really trying to rev up the engine over there. So if you are a member of the Planet Film Network community, or you watch PFN Live at all, make sure you go ahead and follow us on TikTok, because we are posting there multiple times a day, different news stories, some personal rankings of ours. We recently did our series on our top 10 most anticipated films for April of 2022, which were, really fun to kind of pick out of those movies. There's a lot of good stuff coming up this month. We also put some reviews up there as well. And they do go on the Instagram as well with our Instagram Reels, so make sure you follow on both of those platforms. And then we're still, doing our regular news posts and stuff over on Twitter, and all of that is right there at the official PFN on all 3 of those platforms. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk. That'll do it for me.
Yep, I've been your other host, TJ Cornwell. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to all those channels that Sean talked about, social media channels, and just PFN.
Oh, yeah, and the gaming.
PFN Gaming, Planet Film Network. We've been streaming. I'm streaming Lego Star Wars. He's streaming Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Those will be on, a few times a week each week. Yeah, and definitely, like Sean said, follow on TikTok. We're producing a lot of content on TikTok.
Yeah.
So please do. That's all for us, I think. We'll see you next time.
Boom.